So hi everyone, my name is Samara Leader and I serve as Senior Program Manager for Teen Initiatives at the Jewish Community Federation in San Francisco. And in this capacity, I work with our Jewish Teen Initiative. We're part of Funders Collaborative and we're one of 10 cities working to increase teen engagement in Jewish life. So we're excited to have partnered with a bunch of our other communities around the country to offer this virtual college road trip. We're also part of this national initiative and want to thank the Jim Joseph Foundation and other local funders for helping to make programs like this happen. In a moment, I'm going to allow our panelists to introduce themselves and then we'll have a chance to hear from each of them. And if you have questions throughout the session, please post them using the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen and we'll do our best to get to as many as possible. Also, we'll leave a few minutes at the end if there are any questions. And if you submitted questions in advance, we shared those with our presenters. If you have any tech issues, feel free to message us in the chat and we'll do our very best to help. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Devin to introduce herself.
Hey everyone, my name is Devin. I'm an admissions analyst and advisor for undergraduate admissions at UC Davis. I do currently live in Davis. I'm originally from San Diego, but I did attend UC Davis as an undergrad. I graduated in 2015, and I actually have a master's degree in higher ed administration, which I got after being a tour guide and loving being on our campus. And I'm excited to share a little bit of that with you guys today.
All right, thanks, Devin. And Seth, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Seth, and I'm the program director at Hillel. And I am mainly responsible for doing most of our programs related to general Jewish life and education. That includes Shabbat on Fridays and then Tuesday lunch on Tuesdays. I've just finished my second year here, and I'm starting my third year or my junior year here. And I am really excited to be with you all today.
Thanks, Seth. And Alex.
How's it going, everyone? I'm a student at UC Davis, an undergraduate student. I'm a second year majoring in neurobiology, physiology, and behavior. So all about the brain and the body and how that all works. And I'm really involved in Hillel. I'm currently the development intern, which involves money and fundraising. So any sort of questions about Hillel or college life, I'm all here for it.
Great. So we're going to get the chance to hear from each of our presenters in the next hour. And I'm going to pass it back to Devin to tell us a little more about UC Davis.
Awesome. I just shared my screen, so you guys should be able to see that now. I'm super excited to share. I already kind of introduced myself, so I'm just going to jump right in because I have tons to share and I don't have a ton of time. So UC Davis, we are one of 9 UC campuses. I'm sure you guys are aware. I like to start off kind of by giving just a few statistics and rankings about the campus. It's a good way to kind of get to know the strengths of an institution as well as their priorities. So we're commonly known as an ag school. We're first in the world for ag economics and policy. We're first in the nation for vet science. I'm sure you guys have heard of UC Davis's vet school. That is a graduate school, but it is definitely top ranked. We do have some amazing undergraduate animal science programs that are top ranked as well as plant science programs and various agriculture programs as well. So we have an entire College of Ag and Environmental Sciences, incredible opportunities within various fields there. Kind of shifting gears a little bit, we're the 3rd greenest university in the world. This is my favorite stat to share. We have so many different initiatives that we participate in to maintain or minimize our impact on the environment. So this is a really big priority for our campus, whether it's our solar panels, our commitment to low or even no emission transportation, such as our bus system or our bikes, our student farm and various other sort of sustainable growing. I believe nearly 1/3 of the food that we use in our dining commons is sustainably grown. Just lots and lots of ways that we're really committed to this. And then overall, we're the fifth best public university in the nation. This ranking kind of shifts a little bit year to year, but we're consistently ranked in the top 10 amongst public universities, amongst many other of our sister UC campuses. So just it goes to show how many great things we have to offer and through the rankings. And then to give you an idea of our location, we are the northernmost UC. So Berkeley is going to be the next one and then kind of goes down south from there. We're about 20 minutes outside of Sacramento. less than an hour from Napa, just a couple hours from Tahoe, an hour to 2 hours from the Bay Area and San Francisco. And you can kind of see a breakdown from there. Like I said, I'm originally from San Diego, so pretty far south, but just a quick plane ride away. We are right next to the Sacramento airport. It's like 20 minutes away from here. So easy to get wherever you need to go. We're really in the center of everything in Northern California. We have 4 undergraduate colleges. I like to highlight those just to give you an idea of kind of the different things we have to offer. Our original college is the College of Ag and Environmental Sciences, kind of our original claim to fame. So I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with that. Moving away from that, lots of STEM areas in there, but a lot of students interested in STEM are going to look to our smallest college, which is our College of Biological Science. So that's going to be, like I said, smallest, but definitely mightiest with 9 different majors there. I believe we actually recently added a 10th one as well. And then we have our College of Engineering, another very STEM heavy college that's going to have 15 different engineering majors. And then last but not least, our College of Letters and Science. That's going to be our biggest college with everything from arts and humanities and social sciences to physical sciences. So you could have art history, art studio, psychology, sociology, philosophy, history, chemistry, statistics, math, all are going to be in College of Letters and Science. And you can see a breakdown of all of our majors. There are over 100 at our college, and we have even more minors to choose from. You can see the full list on our website. You can see kind of a breakdown by college or just a full alphabetical list. And we're constantly growing and adding. And we do have different tracks within those colleges, within those majors as well. So lots of opportunities to really specialize and find something that you're really interested in studying. As someone who came in kind of with I was undeclared, but I had some ideas of what I wanted to study. I got to take lots of really interesting and unique classes because of the just diverse array of majors that we offer. I also like to share the study abroad opportunities. So take that learning on the road, whether that's going to Sacramento and studying or working in our state capital with an internship program, or all going, all the way across to Washington, D.C. To do internships at our nation's capital, or going completely abroad. We have programs on all continents. There's over 40 different programs to choose from. We have one of the most robust offerings of any of the UC campuses. I highly encourage students to check out the Global Learning Hub from UC Davis. That's where you can see not only study abroad opportunities, but as internship and research and various service opportunities abroad as well. So study abroad is a really awesome opportunity to take advantage of at Davis. And I mentioned internships. We do have an amazing internship and career center. These are some of the many different companies that come to our campus each year. The ICC puts students in over 10,000 internships every year. We really think it's important, in addition to students being well-rounded with study abroad opportunities and things like that, also having that experience so that when they do graduate, you have everything that you need to really be competitive in the job market, or if you're going on to a graduate program. About 80% of our undergraduate students do eventually go on to some sort of graduate program. That could be an MBA, vet school, med school, a master's or PhD program, but a lot of students do go on to some sort of graduate program. And student health and wellness is something that's very important, especially with this past year and a half. I like to highlight some of the things we offer our students. Our Student Health and Wellness Center is a physical location on campus where students can go if they need to see a primary care physician or if they need any sort of assistance in that degree. We do have a lot of access for students that need anything. We also have mental health support with our counseling center for students if they want to talk to somebody. We have group therapy options, lots of different things for students. We also have dietitians available for students that have dietary concerns linked with our dining commons. We also have pantry, which is make sure our students have food. It's hard to study when you're hungry. So we have the student pantry. So we take donations. Our student farm donates food to it. I volunteered there myself. It's a really awesome, very robust offering of foods, non-perishables, but also, fresh produce, beverages, even toiletry items that students may need, all free for students. So we make sure that students, whatever it is that they may need for their mental health or physical health, that they have everything they could possibly imagine. And I do want to highlight a couple of things that we've done for our students in the light of COVID. We do have a really helpful website called the Campus Ready website. So if you're interested in seeing kind of what Davis has done, what they're doing, what fall 2021 is going to look like, you can kind of see all the news and updates there. But we did develop a very rapid saliva test for COVID this past year, which made it really, and it was free for students and community members to really keep students aware and alert We were, giving out vaccinations. We've gone completely remote for this past year to make sure students are safe, but we do plan to be back in person for fall. But the Campus Ready website is the best place to go for all the info and updates about COVID-19. And then on campus, we have all kinds of things. So the Activities and Rec Center is, well, Campus Rec in general offers a lot of facilities, including the Activities and Recreation Center, which is a gym, but it's a lot more than that. So it's going to have an indoor rock climbing wall, indoor track, racquetball courts. You can see a variety of different weight training areas, cardio machines, group sessions, indoor basketball courts, I believe I mentioned. We also have a rec pool for students that you can do lap lanes, but we also have just recreational swim, which is great when it's like 108 degrees today. So the rec pool is really nice for those hot days in the spring. We also have a games area in our Memorial Union with 12 bowling lanes, billiards, PC gaming, all kinds of stuff like that. We have our craft center. I know I'm going kind of fast, but I just want to give you kind of a little bit of an idea of some of the amazing things we offer for our students to kind of be entertained, but also to grow in various passions and interests and build community around those things. So the craft center, I believe there's over like 20 different types of crafts that they offer: jewelry making, woodwork, sewing, glass blowing, you name it. We also have, this is a more unique offering, is our student farm. So we do have a farm on campus where students can volunteer and work. So students interested in agriculture and things like that can definitely get involved there. And then the Equestrian Center. I know we had some questions about horseback riding. We do have horseback riding classes and opportunities for students to volunteer and even work with horses on campus. We do have an equestrian team that's a new addition to our Division I sports. We have nearly 20 Division I sports, including football. We're one of only 3 UC campuses that offers that. In addition to, like I said, equestrian, beach volleyball is a new addition. We also have men's and women's basketball, tennis, basketball, or baseball, you name it, all kinds of sports. And we do have a lot of school spirit, and I really love that aspect. And that was one of the things that sold me on this campus, was the spirit around sports, but also just being in Davis and being a part of the community. We have over 800 clubs and organizations. So if you're not interested in sports, that's totally okay. There's lots of other ways to get involved. I know I was not a sports person. I was on an intramural team once and we lost every single game. So clearly that's not my forte, but I was involved in a variety of other things on campus. So if you're interested in activism, or you're interested in a faith or service-based organization, a business or professional organization, we do have Greek Life with over 60 different Greek chapters to join. And if there's something, for some reason, in all of those 800 plus clubs, you can't find what you're looking for, you can start your own. Just got to grab a couple of friends, submit something to the Office of Student Involvement, and you have your own club. But you can definitely check out all of the clubs available. There's a database, and it organizes things in a way that you can really explore everything that we have to offer. And community is a big part of campus. I know someone from Hillel will be speaking about that specifically, but there's lots of different community spaces on our campus for whatever it is that you kind of are looking for in your community. So there's these physical spaces. A lot of them have administration and programming linked to them, in addition to all of the clubs and organizations that we have and various campus-wide programming. We also have a lot of community building within the housing. So housing is guaranteed for incoming first-year students their first year. And I believe in the future, it will be 2 years. Housing will be guaranteed, but it's never required. So students that don't want to live on campus, that perhaps are looking at commuting or living elsewhere, that's totally fine. We're not going to require you to live on campus, but it is guaranteed if you want it. And I always encourage students, at least in their first year, to live on campus. I think there's a lot of opportunities to build community and meet new people. And I also like to talk about the dining commons. The food is absolutely incredible. I had a meal plan all 4 years, even though I only lived on campus for 1. Like I said, lots of sustainable food for the ingredients. They're constantly changing up the menu, and they accommodate for various dietary concerns, whether it's vegan or gluten-free or kosher or whatever your requirements are. Like I said, there's dietitians available. You can meet with them one-on-one, but they naturally will have lots of food that's all really well labeled in the dining commons for students. So I always like to share about that. We are a pretty bike-friendly campus, so pretty much all of campus is closed to bikes, and then our Unitrans. So we are very, I think being bike-friendly is part of the kind of our environmental commitment, but also our campus is the biggest of all UC campuses with over 5,300 acres. So it makes it a lot easier to get around using your bike, and it's good for your body too. And I think that's one of the many things that contributes to our students and our community just generally being very happy. When you're biking around, you know, endorphins are flowing, you're really happy. That's my personal kind of assumption. But if biking's not your thing, we do have buses that run all around campus and the surrounding areas, and that's free for students as well. It's entirely run by students. I like to share that fact. It's overseen by our student government. They oversee one of the largest budgets of any student government and college institutions in the US. The budget's over $16 million. So if you're looking for opportunities in that area, whether it's just some, you know, job experience, trying to make some money, or you're interested in student government, having your voice heard, Davis is a great place for that. Then the last thing I'm going to share about our campus before I roll into admissions requirements is our amazing college town atmosphere. So you can see the yellow here is the UC Davis campus, and right next to it is the downtown area. So the campus is backed right up against, you can see A Street is right there, and the Hillel House is right on that as well. Next to that, you can see just a couple of blocks over is Central Park. That's where we have our top ranked farmers market. It's one of the top 10 in the nation. I love going to the farmers market. I think it's it's twice a week. You can go on Saturdays, you can go on Wednesday evenings. They have amazing produce and fresh food. If you want to sample things, you can go for if you want to go for meals. They have live music on Wednesdays. You can see a picture in the bottom there. But there's a variety of things happening downtown. We have a bike museum. We have all kinds of restaurants and coffee shops and all kinds of things happening down there. I really love living in this really sweet college town. About half the population here is students. So everything is truly about the student experience and just the campus in general, which as a student and now as an alumni and a current administrator, it's been a really enjoyable experience being a part of that. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about some admissions requirements. I want to make sure I'm good on time here. Perfect. So let's go ahead and talk about these right quick. The admissions requirements, there are really two main things that to make you eligible for admission at UC, just in general, any UC campus. So the UC system, all 9 undergraduate campuses share the same minimum requirements, and we share one application. So when you're applying to UC Davis, you can easily apply to other UC campuses at the same time. It's all pretty much the same minimum requirements. So we're looking at completion of what we call the A through G subjects. If you're at a California high school, you likely will be meeting all of these with your high school graduation requirements. But you can see the minimum here, and then we recommend an additional year of study for math, science, and language other than English. So those recommendations are going to be, like I said, recommended so you can be more competitive for admission, but minimum eligibility you can see listed here. And then the UC admissions website, or you can check out the Davis one as well. I'll actually put in the chat right now my info, which also has a link to, well, I'll do it at the end, but a link to our undergrad admissions website where you can see more information about the requirements. So there's the A through G subjects, and then there's the GPA of 3.0 or higher for California residents. So those are the only 2 requirements to be eligible. Now, keep in mind, eligibility and being competitive for selection are 2 different things. So this was from our admitted class that just finished their first year. So they were admitted for fall 2020. They just finished their first year. The statistics for our incoming class for this upcoming fall haven't been released yet. So this is from a year ago. You can see our admit rate and our weighted and unweighted GPA ranges. A weighted GPA is going to include any honors or AP courses that we recognize. The unweighted is not. And you can see more statistics on our website regarding that. But we are not using any SAT or ACT this year. So you notice I didn't include that in the requirements. I'm not including that here. That's no longer even something that we're considering as part of the admissions requirements. Oh, I forgot to remove them from this slide. I'm sorry. I'm still operating in last year's mode. So let me actually go back so I don't confuse you. We have actually only 13 criteria. So GPA is definitely one of those. The rigor of courses that you're taking, honors courses, those are definitely part of it, but we're looking at a lot more than that. So things like education opportunities at your high school, achievements in special projects, improvements in academic performance, participation in various programs, your academic accomplishment based on your life experiences, improvements over time, special circumstances you may have. You can see the full comprehensive list on the UC website as well as the Davis website. I'm going to go ahead and skip this just so you don't get confused. Test scores are not really part of our selection criteria any longer. And some of you may be wondering, okay, so outside of the GPA, how do you assess all of these different criteria? We do have a very lengthy application. It opens in August. So for those of you who are going to be seniors, the application opens in less than 2 months for you. You won't submit it until November, so you have plenty of time, but the earlier you start, the easier it will be because it is a pretty lengthy application. So those personal insight questions are a big part of that. So I highly encourage you to start early, especially like I said, for you seniors. There's going to be 8 total questions and you're going to answer 4. You can get lots of information and tips on the UC Davis website as well as the UC General Admission website. And then some important dates I want to highlight before I turn it over. August, like I said, the application opens. You can start submitting it in November. You're going to create a My Admissions account for Davis if you're applying to our campus, and that's going to be how we communicate with you, provide your admissions decision and anything like that. You'll submit your free application for federal student aid anytime between October and March. We notify freshmen in mid-March of the decisions, and then you have until May 1 to decide if this is the campus for you. And then lastly, I want to tell you about our virtual tour. This is a great alternative since we don't have any in-person tours yet. We're hoping to start those up for the fall. Check our visit website for more details on when that might be, but you can, in the meantime, take your virtual tour at any time, day or night. You can do that in the comfort of your own home with your fuzzy slippers on and your cup of coffee or iced tea since it's so hot now. So you can check that out and then make sure to follow us on social media. So that's kind of a little bit about Davis. I think I'm getting close to time, so I'm going to go ahead and sign out and give it to the next person. If you guys have questions, yes, I see someone mentioned the ARC. The ARC is amazing. So I'm going to head and stop sharing, and then I'm going to add my a couple of links for you guys and my info in the chat. But otherwise, yeah, go Davis.
Thank you, Devin, for that incredibly thorough presentation. It was great to hear about your efforts to be a green campus. And I was really impressed by the number of clubs you have on campus. Just a couple of questions for you specifically before we move on to the other presentations. There was a question submitted in advance about women in lab sciences. Could you speak a little bit about that?
Yes, so we actually are top ranked. I can't remember the exact number, but we are top ranked for supporting women in STEM. We do have a ton, I think almost half of our majors at Davis are STEM, and we definitely have a lot of women across those fields. I don't have any specific initiatives, but I'm confident there are clubs for women in STEM and a variety of programming through our different colleges and different departments specifically for women in the fields. But like I said, I know we are top ranked. I just don't remember the number. I'm thinking it's 3rd, something like that. But you can check out those specific stats and rankings on the Facts and Figures website.
Awesome. Another question for you. Could you speak a little bit to class size, access to professors, that kind of stuff?
So we are a large campus. We do have, including our I think almost 30,000 undergrads, 33 or so, including our grad students, maybe higher at this point. It increased a little bit every year, but I would say around 30,000 students, which you do have to keep in mind there will be lecture style courses when you have that many students. The student to faculty ratio is like 17 or 20 to 1. Again, Facts and Figures website will have the exact number. I think it's 17 or 18 now to 1. So you definitely will have access to professors, but we will also have lecture style classes. With all of those, are going to all be intro level. Alex, I think you probably can speak more to currently what the student kind of experience will be in the classes. With the remote learning, it's going to be a little bit different. But from my experience being in person a few years back, the lecture style are going to be for those intro level. So intro to psychology, kind of your intro to bio series are going to be lecture style, and they're going to have discussions and or labs linked with those. So you're going to take a class, you're going to be in lecture 2 or 3 days a week, and then you're going to have a discussion and or a lab section, and that's going to be a much smaller, maybe 20 people, 30 people will be in that section. Once you get into your upper division courses, you're going to have 50, 30, maybe even 10 people in your class. And that's going to be, like I said, major specific upper division courses, much smaller, much more individualized learning. And then in every class that you have, your professor is going to have office hours, which are vastly underutilized. So you're going to have definitely all the access that you need. And something I love about being a research institution is these professors are literally creating the knowledge that they're teaching you. In a lot of cases, they often have wrote their own textbooks. So you're learning things that they have helped be a part of, help discover. And so when you're talking to them, you really can get so much knowledge and so much insight from those incredible minds. And then in office hours, you have full access to that as well. So I never had issues talking to professors or having access to them. I know it can be scary, concept of a lecture style class, but you'll be surprised how quickly you get used to it. And like I said, not all classes are going to be like that. It's mostly those intro level ones.
Thank you.
Sure.
And then just one or two more, could you speak to the type of support you have available for students with learning differences?
Yes, our office, I have to remember the name of it. It's the office, I think it's ODS. I can't remember the exact office. I'll find the link and Student Disability Services. Thank you. Student Disability Center. Thank you. I can grab a link and put that in there as well, so you can kind of peruse all the different offerings that they have. But ultimately, you'll need to work with them for any specifics that you need. But I know there's a variety of different programs that they do for students, and a lot of different accommodations, whether it's specific to your classes, getting note takers, things like that. But the Student Disability Center is a really great resource for whatever it is that you're looking for support.
Wonderful. And finally, this seemed to you talked about this a little because there was a beautiful slide, but can you speak to diversity on campus?
Yes, so that is definitely a big, something that we are really striving to make sure that we have representation for students and support for students, regardless of who they are, how they identify. So our cross-cultural center we actually did a variety of different, we instead of having individual kind of spaces, we have our cross-cultural center, which is a very general space for anyone to go. And then outside of that, we have a variety of other centers that students can explore, participate with, to make sure that students have everything they need and they have their community. They see people that they identify with. And I think that's such an important aspect of our campus. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they're looking for demographic information. I don't have that off the top of my head. I do know we do have a very diverse campus, and there's students that will definitely find others that look like them and have similar experiences as them, because just the sheer size of our campus, but also just the variety of different types of students that we have is amazing.
Thank you so much, Devin. Again, I just want to share that if you have questions for any of our presenters, feel free to put them in the Q&A or the chat. If you joined us late, I'm now going to pass it over to Seth. Seth works for Hillel at UC Davis, and he's going to spend about 15 minutes telling us about Jewish life on campus, and then we'll close out hearing from Alex, our student on the presentation. So Seth, take it away.
All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us this afternoon. Like Samara said, I'm Seth and I'm the program director at Hillel, and we are the Center for Jewish Life on the campus of UC Davis, and we also do serve CSU Sacramento, which is a Cal State school in Sacramento itself. So if there's anyone on the call who's interested in Sac State, we do technically serve them as well. And we are also affiliated with Hillel International. That's our parent organization. And we partner with different Hillels throughout who are part of our movement. So I also have a presentation for you about Hillel, and let me just go ahead and get it set up. Okay, everyone can see that, right? Alrighty, so welcome everyone. So here is our team. I've already introduced myself, but I'm one of several other staff members. So we have our executive director. Her name is Rachel, and she is in the top left picture. Our operations manager, Debbie, is right below her. The board president, Simone, is the bottom picture on the left. And then right above me on the right-hand column is our chef, Chef Jackie. We prepare all of our meals in-house and they are kosher. So we only serve kosher meals in Hillel. And she is currently on leave, and we do have a substitute, Karen Littman, who isn't pictured. And then below me is our Israel fellow, Tal Sendler, who is actually finishing up her 3-year term of service. And we do have a replacement coming who is named Alex as well, coincidentally enough, like our student. And she will be arriving from Israel in August. And the Israel Fellow, just to give you a little bit of background, is a position that's coordinated through the Jewish Agency for Israel, Jaffe, and they are responsible for Israel education on campus. And they also do, they organize some trips to Israel as well. And Tal and I, the Israel Fellow and I, are the two principal staff members who handle programming and events. And then in addition to our full-time staff members, we also have students who are part of our incredible team. And we had 6 this year when we increased that from 4 2 years ago. And next year we will have 6 as well. The people pictured here are our interns who completed it this year. And Alex, as you can see, is on there. He was our development intern. And we had 5 other students who completed the internship with him. And as you can see, their names and specializations are listed on the left. And so we are going to have 6 interns again in the fall for next year, starting in the fall, doing the same specializations. Alex, we're very lucky that he'll be continuing with us. And so anyone on the call, for those of you who do end up deciding to attend Davis, and if you get involved with Hillel, this is a great opportunity for you to gain leadership skills on campus, for you to gain other skills related to communication, related to public speaking, related to fundraising, depending on what your specialization is. And the internship is paid as well. And this is our location, which we talked a little bit about it in the previous presentation, but we're located on A Street, and that is right on the edge of downtown. So you can see our building is right here, and then this is right where campus starts. So it's a very convenient spot, easy to get to. Bike racks are available for anyone who is biking there. And this is what our building looks like. And it's actually my background, my Zoom background, but here is a better, higher resolution picture. It was completed, I believe, in 2012 after, with the support of many generous, dedicated individuals, members of the community. And we have most of our programs take place in there. And here's a little bit of a tour inside our building. So this is Pidot Hall, named after Joseph Pidot, who is one of our biggest supporters. And he also invented the Chia Pet. That's his claim to fame. So this is a multi-purpose room, and you can see the types of events that we use it for. Tuesday lunch happens every week on Tuesdays from 12 to 1, and it takes place in Pidot Hall, and it's a social event for people to get together, enjoy a free lunch, and see their friends. And we did adapt it to the virtual climate this year, and we offered meals to go, which were also free. And then downstairs is the Grand Pavilion, and right before the pandemic, we transitioned to offering Shabbat dinners downstairs in this room because it's much bigger, it's much more open, and we also have, and it's also has a multi-purpose function. So we have other uses for it besides Shabbat dinner. And then each Shabbat dinner has an educational theme attached to it. So this picture that you're seeing right now is a picture of our New York Deli themed Shabbat. So that's kind of what we were going for with the checker style tablecloth. So it's kind of making it look like a New York deli. And I think that we served pizza for dinner that night. And we had one of our interns at the time, and it's actually this guy over here. His name is Forrest. His family is from Brooklyn, New York. And so he talked about his family heritage and gave a bigger presentation about the history of the Jewish community in New York City. And each week the theme changes. So some of themes that we've had in the past, we did very lighthearted themes like Disney Shabbat. That was a lot of fun, where we talked about famous, famous Jewish Disney stars and other Jewish people who have contributed to Disney. But then we did more serious themes like FSU Shabbat, which stands for Former Soviet Union Shabbat, and we explored the history of the Jewish community of the former USSR. And we're always trying to introduce new themes each year into our programs. And this is a picture. This one right here is a picture from Interface Shabbat. So you can see we did this supportive photo activity that we did, and so you can see a picture of that. And then of course we did adapt to the virtual climate. So this entire year we had Shabbat pretty much every Friday during the academic year on Zoom. And we did things like educational presentations. We had guest speakers. Here are a couple of guest speakers on this call right now. This is Moroccan Shabbat. And this lady here in the bottom right-hand corner is the Israel Fellow at Stanford Hillel. Her name is Leah. And so we also did other things on Zoom to make it fun. We did Zoom games. We did charades one time. We played Hangman one time. Kahoot quizzes were pretty big. We did Broadway Shabbat this year, so we played Guess That Broadway Tune. That was a lot of fun. So we're still committed to operating and being there for our students, providing those educational and social opportunities despite the virtual situation. Although, just like Devin said, we are planning to return to full-time programs this fall. And in compliance with the health regulations, we started offering some in-person events at the end of the year. So here are just some more pictures from Tuesday lunch. This one right here is a picture of Sukkot in our sukkah, which we set up in the backyard. And we did virtual Tuesday lunch as well. This was from I think the spring of 2020, and it was for Mother's Day, and we invited our mothers on the call. My grandmother is in that little box right there. And then some of our Jewish holiday celebrations: Purim, Sukkot, Hanukkah, making Hanukkah candles. And so within Hillel, we do have other student groups that we support and we work with them. And these groups are pretty much fully run by students. So some of those include Mishalanu, which is a student group that is dedicated to Israeli culture, and their big signature event is Hebrew lessons, and so they offered that virtually this year. Aggies for Israel, which is this organization listed right here, and they are the Israel advocacy and cultural group that we work with. Greek organizations AAPI and Sigma AAPI are listed on here as well. So here's an example of Hebrew lessons that Mishalanu was doing. So that's what this picture is. And this is also in Hillel. This is in our cafe. So you're seeing one of our facilities. And we do have quite a few students who are part of the Russian-speaking Jewish community. Their parents have come from different former Soviet Union countries. And so we do have Russian cultural events that we do each year. And this was painting the nesting dolls, the Matryoshka dolls. So that's what this event is. And for, of course, for all of the freshmen on the call, future freshmen on the call, we do events specifically for you guys, for the first years each year in the fall, to give you a chance to get to know each other, to meet one another, to introduce you to Hillel, and to introduce you to the adorable town of Davis. So this right here is a picture of freshman Froyo, where we basically took all the freshmen out and treated them to Froyo. I think most of the people in this picture, they're all starting their, like me, they're starting their junior year. And in addition to Froyo, we did farmers markets, we did a freshman Shabbat right at the beginning of the school year, bowling nights. And then learning opportunities, there are many. So we did the Israel Learning Fellowship, which is a learning fellowship where you learn about the politics and the history of Israel. And this picture, that's what you're seeing right here. We did the Jewish Learning Fellowship, which took a lot of planning, but we did it for the first time this year, and we are planning on doing it next year. And that is a fellowship where you learn about different topics in Judaism. And Alex did it as well. We do Torah reading and Hebrew Cafe. Torah reading is also something new that we started this year. And we partner with the local synagogue here in Davis. It's called Congregation Bet Havarim. And we have a very good relationship with them. And we did that this year for the first time. And going ahead, we're going to finish up here with info about our trips to Israel. So Tagli Birthright, obviously, that is a free trip for Jewish young adults, and they are planning to resume when it is safe. But some of the things that you'll do on your birthright trip, the sort of classic trip that we offer, it involves going for camel rides, going to the Dead Sea. But then if there are also niche trips available, and if you don't want to go on the UC Davis trip, that's no problem. We'll still help you get set up on whatever trip you want to go to. And then in addition to that, we offer the Factfinders trip, which is available to both Jewish and non-Jewish students. And it is a trip where you learn about the conflict on the ground. And so you go do a lot of very interesting things, visit a lot of interesting places, and talk to a lot of interesting people, like local politicians, things like that. And that trip is free as well. There's no cost for it, just like Birthright is free. And so how to get involved, the big question. So biggest thing, come to our events. Feel free to volunteer at Hillel. Especially when we go back to in-person events next year. We'd love to have your help with Shabbat, cleanup, setup. It's a lot more fun than you would think. It's very just like a lot of camaraderie. Participate in our learning fellowships, getting involved in the different student groups. Of course, applying to be an intern next year, and going on trips to Israel when they resume, which should be soon. And thank you very much. And Alex is going to go ahead and place some links in the chat to our website. And I believe we have time for questions, right?
Yeah, thanks so much, Seth. I'm going to throw two quick questions at you before I want to make sure we have time to hear from Alex. The first is, how do you make sure the Hillel community is welcoming to all different Jewish identities in Israeli a pluralistic space? Reform, conservative, Orthodox, just Jewish, still searching. How do you make it feel welcoming to all?
Right, that's an excellent question. So that's definitely a priority at Hillel, is creating a home for everyone. So as far as Jewish students who come from Sephardic or Mizrahi backgrounds, we have events throughout the year that highlight those communities in particular. For instance, we do Persian Shabbat to talk about the history of the Persian Jewish community. And we have quite a few Persian students here, and they lead it. They're the ones who are actually leading it and sharing their family stories. There was a picture of it on the slide, but virtually Moroccan Shabbat, talking about another Mizrahi group. Obviously, we have events geared towards students who come from Russian-speaking backgrounds. So we welcome everyone, no matter what their background is, and especially for students who are exploring, who are kind of, maybe had a strong connection to their Jewish identity, but fell away from it after their bar bat mitzvah and are interested in rekindling it. That was the case with me, by the way. You're of course welcome. We accept everyone, no matter how strong their connection is to it. As we do things like going on coffee dates with students, where we'll take you out to coffee, just get to know you, talk to you, find out what you're interested in. We There's no sort of membership. There are no sort of membership requirements or fees of any kind. So you don't have to. So there's that. You don't have to belong to a certain group at all to attend. Actually, one of our interns last year was not even Jewish, and we of course welcomed her in fully and wholeheartedly. And we have several students who come from interfaith families as well. One of our student interns next year incoming, her dad is Jewish and her mom is Presbyterian, and we started to reach out to her, invited her to do some of our learning fellowships, and invited her to our Shabbat programs. And she didn't come from a very traditional Jewish background either, and as in her own words has said that since coming to Hillel, she's discovered what it means to she says that she's discovered what it means to be Jewish. So, and then for people who come from different denominations, we're non-denominational, so we welcome people from the Reform and Conservative movement. For instance, I grew up in the conservative movement and was bar mitzvahed in a conservative temple, but we still work with the Reform Temple here in Davis, and I also teach there, actually, in their Hebrew school, and including for Orthodox students as well. We did actually, before COVID, have two separate services on Fridays. We had a Reform service and a conservative service, so we did that as well. And to give that option available to people who come from different denominations. And then also the question in the chat.
Yeah, so I want to be mindful of time, but there was a question, was actually the next one I was going to ask. Can you talk about anti-Semitism on campus and how the anti-Israel climate impacts Jewish students? And then we're going to turn it over to Alex.
Right. And Alex can probably talk about that too and give you a student's perspective when he speaks. But yes, it's a very legitimate question, and so with as far as anti-Semitism and anti-Israel climate on campus, just to be blunt, yes, it exists, and there have been um, incidents on campus related to BDS, which is boycott, divest, and sanctions, and divesting from Israel and things, and part of that movement. So yes, it has happened, it has occurred, and we're not going to ignore it. Quite the contrary, actually. So our staff, we take it very seriously, and we have quite a robust system to respond to it when it happens. So, for example, we have maintained active partnerships, and this is what our Israel Fellow mainly does, but we maintain partnerships with larger organizations like ICC Israel on Campus Coalition. Whenever there's any anti-Israel activity on campus, and we work with them um, to address it when it comes up. We also have a working relationship with the with the administration, and that includes Chancellor May, who is the Chancellor of UC Davis. This year, we're actually setting up an advisory council to keep them as informed as possible about the climate and situation. And I personally have met with different heads of student life, including Sherry Atkinson, who is one of the vice chancellors for student affairs. I've met with Joe Martinez, who works in the what we call CSI, like the crime show, but it actually stands for Center for Student Involvement. And I've met with him and brought it up to him. We've met with Myra Yamas, who is in charge of the student, the student community and cultural center. So we do things to maintain an active line of communication with the big names on campus. And in addition to that, we also try to offer a safe space within our Hillel community. So for instance, when in the most recent conflict in Israel that happened several weeks ago, we opened up a Zoom call for all the students to just share and talk with us. And our Israel fellow, Tal, was the one who ran that call. But it was basically just a event session where we had time to let the students just share and express whatever was on their mind, whatever they were seeing. And I, of course, attended that call as well. So those are some of the steps that we do to address it when it happens. And I think that most students will tell you that they feel that despite the situation on campus, they definitely feel strongly supported by the staff at Hillel.
Thank you so much, Seth. And with that, I'm gonna pass it over to Alex to talk a little more about his experience as a Jewish student on campus before we do a final wrap up. So Alex, take it away.
Of course. So as I introduced myself, I'm a second year student. I came from LA. I'm Reform, and Hillel, like as Seth was saying, it's really non-denominational. So no matter what sort of denomination, or not denomination, but specialty of Judaism you are, it's really a welcoming environment. Since I know that there were questions regarding anti-Semitism in the chat, I can of course address those. And then if there's any further questions, I can address those, since I know we're a little bit short on time. In terms of anti-Semitism, obviously there definitely is anti-Semitism everywhere. I was a little bit surprised about how much there was at UC Davis, just because I thought of how opening a community a UC would be. But to my knowledge and to my experiences, there is plenty of anti-Semitism on campus. But the reason why I like being involved in Hillel and just being a Jew on campus is because there are plenty of avenues and plenty of resources that do help you throughout your journey on campus. Like as Seth was saying, Hillel has been a tremendous amount of support for students facing anti-Semitism. The chancellor, he's completely with us and offering support whenever we need it. We have plenty of support systems to stuff like that. And many of the times it's like, for example, as Seth was mentioning, a BDS bill that was brought within our own Senate. It's mainly just words. Like, although obviously we don't want stuff like that happening because it brings up anti-Semitism. It's mainly just words, as all the UCs have championed that they're not going to engage in any activity like that, that they're for supporting Jewish students and Jewish voices. So although there is that side of anti-Semitism, there's definitely modes and resources to address that. Gary, I know that you were the one that sort of mentioned that. Did you have anything personal or specific to that? If you want to type that in the chat, or did I answer anything that was addressed? While you're typing that though, I can further go on. So just a little bit more about my experience at Davis. So as I said, I grew up in Los Angeles. Shifting over to Davis, a farmland from a busy city, it was a different environment, a different shift. I do love Davis though, because there's so much nature and the school is super big and super beautiful, as Devin was mentioning. So it's really a great environment. I see a question. Has there been any attacks on students? I don't think physical attacks, at least not since my time here, but in terms of like social media, like there's always people posting on either side. So maybe cyber attacks, but there's definitely not been physical that I recall. would love to hear and then I see Seth, you're unmuted. Let me just answer this one real quick. In terms of Chabad, I've been there quite a few times. I mean, obviously both support Jewish life. I specifically prefer Hillel because it seems to be more welcoming and more vibrant, whereas Chabad seems more tailored towards like more stricter forms of Judaism. Like obviously they welcome all people and I've loved the environment there. But to me, Hillel has just been more open about that sort of thing. And we do have a great partnership with Chabad. So no matter what type of Jew you are, Jew you want to be, there's always, we work very closely with them.
Yeah, and as far as Chabad is concerned, like Alex said, we do have a very positive relationship with them. They're very nice people. They have a very cute daughter who's just about to start kindergarten. And she loves playing with all the students. But yes, our main goal is to be there for the students, and we don't want to put them in a position where they feel like they need to choose between us or them. So we actually have done events together with Chabad. We did Purim together with them before the pandemic started, and it was a huge success. Our ultimate goal is to be there for the students. And in the words of our Israel fellow, what's most important is that they find their place.
That's beautiful, Seth. I love hearing about the partnerships and again, making sure it's an open tent for anyone. Alex, do you want to share just really quickly one kind of your highlight positive Jewish experience as part of that community on campus before I take us home?
Yeah, I mean, so as Seth was mentioning, there's the Israel Learning Fellowship and Jewish Learning Fellowship. And I think, well, actually, I want to do something else because that was, I had a better idea in mind. So there was an event put on by AFI, the Aggies for Israel, where it was like take a trip to Israel, learn about the culture, and obviously it was all virtual. And what they did was they had us pick up snacks from different regions of Israel. And when they took us on like the tour of Israel virtually, like they said, okay, at Tel Aviv, this is the snack that's associated with this. Everybody taste it, everybody try it. And I think that was super cool. Like it's sort of like when you go to the movies and it's like they put, or like Universal Studios, like the Minion ride, and they put like the banana smell up. Like it was just super cool how interactive and it was put on by our Israel fellow, and she's always great. So I just love the community that Hillel puts on, and I'm always willing to take questions or concerns that anybody has. And I put my email there. I'll paste it again, but definitely open for anybody.
Well, Alex, Seth, and Devin, who's popping back on, thank you all so much. We got a little strapped for time there at the end, but I'll share that I will share out all of their contact information if you have more that you want to hear from them as well. And it's there in the chat. Thanks so much, Alex. I'll just share also, this is our 6th of 7 West Coast stops. We have one final session, UC Berkeley, which is a week from tonight. Also, if you are interested in more info sessions or workshops from around the country, you can head to roadtriptocollege.org. Thank you all so much for being here. And again, all of us are available for follow-up, and have a great night. This will also it's recorded and will be posted as well. So thank you so much for being with us.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.